All right, what is crypto part two? If you made it this far, that means you made it through our first intro video of what is crypto. So good news, you're still interested in learning a little bit more about what is crypto and wanted to hear what we have to say about it. So without further ado, the legal disclaimer. I always run across the bottom of the screen right there. This is not investment advice. I'm trying to share information with you about things I've learned over the years that I've been involved, not just in crypto, but in investing and in making what I hope to be wise decisions. So bear with me, not trying to give you guys investment advice or tell you what to do, just trying to help you learn a little bit and maybe not make some of the same mistakes I've made. Crypto part two. In the last video, we just talked briefly about what is cryptocurrency, the definition, what is Bitcoin, the definition. Maybe between now and then you've read the Bitcoin white paper, so you understand a little bit more about what the creator envisioned when he or she set out to create Bitcoin. And so we're going to move on a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about how Bitcoin works, a little bit about how the blockchain specifically works and what is the public ledger. We'll talk about some crypto exchanges. I'll show you a couple of examples of where you can go. And then I'll show you one of the useful tools that I use and what I look for when I'm evaluating different cryptocurrencies. And that'll be it for today. So again, short and sweet, hopefully 10 minutes or less. Thanks for tuning in. How does the blockchain work and what is the blockchain? I'm sure you've heard a lot about blockchain technology and what does that mean? So first, to understand Bitcoin and the blockchain, I want to talk about the ledger and what does that mean and what is Bitcoin mining. So maybe you've heard these terms before, maybe you're still a newbie, but this is a little bit more familiar with you. So I went online and I Googled, how does the blockchain work? And I looked for some images to use to try and share them with you. And they were so complicated and so confusing that I decided, again, for now, we just talk about it briefly. And then in the future, if we get requests or you guys want to hear more about this, I'll see if I can find something or make something that helps make it a little bit more palatable. So first of all, the way I think about blockchain and about the ledger is as follows. If you think back to the old days in accounting, you had an accountant or a bookkeeper who would maintain a ledger, maybe a book like this that he or she would use to write down transactions. And in that book, they would keep a record of every transaction, who bought what, who sold what, how much they paid for it, when it happened, etc. And that ledger was permanently marked in ink so that they could always flip back to it and see on this date, on this time, this person bought this thing, paid this much for it, etc., and all the details of it. So the way Bitcoin and the blockchain work is no different than using that concept of that ledger, wherein that ledger or that information about that transaction is stored digitally and publicly, and it's encrypted and it's available on the web, such that companies or individuals using computers that participate in the process of validating transactions on the Bitcoin network are able to access the information on that public ledger, and they're able to verify that it's indeed valid information. And so how does that work, and how does the blockchain work, and what is the blockchain? Think about an individual transaction as a block or a chunk of information, and think about a transaction wherein two people are going to consummate a purchase and a sale, in this case, let's say of Bitcoin. So there's an existing chunk of information or an existing block, which is a long string of letters and numbers and information, and contained within that is the history of every other transaction that's happened with that piece of currency prior to the transaction that we're talking about. My information is a new block that gets added into that blockchain, and it extends the length of that blockchain such that as it grows and as the future evolves and as more transactions continue to happen, the length of that blockchain not only increases, but the strength of that blockchain increases, and it becomes harder to duplicate or to try and hack or configure or figure out what that blockchain was prior to that moment in time where you were looking at it, because it becomes so increasingly long and complex and difficult that it's almost impossible for anybody to decrypt. And so the information that is contained on the blockchain, which is available on that public ledger, is what makes Bitcoin so secure and what makes it so easy to make a transaction happen. And here's why. We'll talk about the mining process. So when you have Sally and Bob conducting a transaction, and Sally is selling her Bitcoin to Bob, we talked about this a little bit in the last video, but that transaction information goes out, and that new block of information goes out to the blockchain. All of the computers that are participating in the mining, which is the validation of that transaction, look at the original existing blockchain ledger. They verify that it is indeed a valid transaction. When 51% of those computers say, yes, it's a good transaction and you're good to go, that new chunk of, or that new block of information gets added on to the end of that blockchain, and you have a valid transaction that's happened. So moving along, I said we would talk a little bit about what is a crypto exchange and where do I buy cryptocurrencies. So I think probably the best thing for you to do and the best way for me to stay agnostic to all this is just go ahead and Google what are crypto exchanges, or what are some of the best crypto exchanges. Let's get my face out of here. And when I Googled it, I pulled up this Investopedia page where you'll see the best cryptocurrency exchanges. This is in the United States, and this was written earlier this month, where they rated best for beginners, best mobile app, best for security, best for alternative coins or altcoins. So I think for you, as potentially a newbie or even somebody who has a little bit of experience in cryptocurrency, maybe read through some articles like this. Go ahead and click through to the websites and just, take a look at them. Does it look like it's going to be an easy website for me to use? Let's see if I can pull up Coinbase as an example here. Right, so here's a sample account I set up so that we could take a look at it and see, what does Coinbase look like and how does it work? And I think I put $50 in it just to start the account. It'll show you your assets, the value of the assets, what percentage of your portfolio you have in which assets. It's pretty simple over here on the left-hand side. If you want to navigate, for example, and conduct a trade, if you've already linked your bank account to this exchange, and let's say you want to buy Bitcoin, I'll click on the buy button, select a one-time purchase. I'm going to pay for it through my Regions bank account, which I've linked to this. So let's go ahead and let's buy $50 worth of Bitcoin because I'm a big baller. I'm going to preview the buy. Done. Buy now. You'll notice there's a little bit of fee. We'll talk later about where that fee goes and how the computers that participate in Bitcoin mining are compensated for helping validate that transaction. Ordinarily, a transaction like this will happen fairly quickly, and you'll be able to see that almost instantaneously in your account when you go back and you check your asset balance. So if you remember when we checked before, woohoo, I now own Bitcoin. So we'll go back over here and we'll look at the assets in my account, and now you'll see, indeed, I have $47.79 worth of Bitcoin, some Polkadot, some Litecoin, some Cosmos, Scale, other things. Don't worry about what these other cryptos are. We'll talk a little bit more about them later. But for now, I just wanted to take you through the process of looking at different crypto exchanges, evaluating them based on what's most important for you. I do like to throw in an occasional security tip every now and then, and we'll talk more about security and safety in the future. But in general, you should know this, and this holds true to your email or to any other accounts that you have online. Never share your password with anybody. Make sure you store them in a safe place. If it's password one, or if it's your dog's name, or your birthday, or your anniversary, or your first kid's birthday, chances are someone's going to be able to figure those out pretty quickly just by using social media or checking out your Facebook or one of your other accounts and figuring out what's important to you. So please do a good job of always keeping that information safe. Never share it with anybody. 2FA, which is two-factor authentication, we'll probably talk about a little later when we do security-oriented video, but we'll talk about that more in the future. But good rule of thumb, never share your information with anybody. Last but not least, what is Live Coin Watch? I think Live Coin Watch is kind of a cool resource that I use every once in a while where I just want to track, and I'll show you what I look for. Let's see here. What I look for when I'm evaluating a cryptocurrency that I'm interested in. Let's go to share screen here. Boom, there it is. Get my face out of there. So livecoinwatch.com, very cool place where you can actually create a little account for free. Follow, let's say, Bitcoin because we just bought some and I like it. Maybe some other coins that I'm interested in, like Cardano, maybe Avalanche, Polkadot, maybe Polygon, Matic. But one of the cool features here is you can also set it up so that you can have, for example, a weekly chart that you want to look at or an annual chart, create your own portfolio where you add different assets, to your portfolio that you want to watch. And so it's just a cool little tool that's free, that's available for you to use and evaluate. For example, if you're a fan of one of these particular cryptos and you happen to notice that it's down 30% over the last 90 days and you're a big believer in that cryptocurrency, then this is a good resource for you to use to have in the back pocket. So thanks a lot. We kept it short and sweet. This was What is Crypto Part 2. Stay tuned for more videos. I'll try and shoot them every few days and then upload them every few days. And I will keep you posted by tuning in. Smash the like button below, click subscribe, and you'll get updates on when I post new videos. Take care. Thanks a lot, guys. Stay safe.